from Axios, Alex Thompson.
Yeah, the original sin book.
He's been looking at this. He's been looking at this for a long time. It's not like it's like one and done. He's been looking at this deeply, Biden's cognitive decline, and so have many people. And so it's one thing to blame the media, but it's another thing to say that you're gonna get upset that somebody's having empathy in these times, because these moments that bring the country together, as you've seen.
Empathy is very important. It's just, I guess I don't, because I now know a lot about the efforts Democrats went to cover up his declining health. I don't trust, the Biden team doesn't have trust and credibility with me. So when they release this announcement the same weekend that the Her tapes come out and 48 hours before the original Sin book is supposed to come out, and they say, oh yeah, we just found out about this on Friday, can you, pity me, do the empathy thing, I think it's very suspect timing. Now, you could say that's, no, they didn't try to hide that from you, Robbie, but how would you know if they didn't try to hide? They did try to hide something from you. So that's when you mislead people once, you break faith with people. So we're saying, how could he not know, previously that he had a cancer diagnosis? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. Maybe they just missed it. I was listening to Zeke Emanuel. I think it was Zeke Emanuel. It's Rahm Emanuel's brother, who's a doctor. He was on CNN or ABC or somebody yesterday or the day before saying that, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It is certain he had it already. Maybe they didn't, the cancer at this stage.
Right, you see levels jump, and that's an indicator.
It's possible they didn't catch it, but again, for how checked the president is. And I would say the same thing about Trump. Trump's health is scrutinized by the media to a large degree. They are always asking questions about them. I remember conversations about whether the amendment to make you not the president anymore, which was the 28th, 27th, I can't remember.
We're going to be
which should be invoked on him, and to not ever bring that in the context of Biden is just pretty crazy to me. But
there's lots more to discuss. We're going to keep talking about this and stay on top for everyone.
Definitely have not heard the last word from me on this. Take it away.
Next up, President Trump is optimistic about Russia and Ukraine peace talks, but others aren't so happy.
President Trump seems optimistic about peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine.
Trump held a phone call with both Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russian President Putin.
Trump wrote, in part on Truth Social, Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire, and more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. Trump also said that Russia wants to do large-scale trade and that Ukraine could be a beneficiary in trade as well. Now, the Vatican, at least according to Trump, is actually open to hosting those peace talks. Putin described the call as a meaningful and frank one.
On Sunday, however, Russia launched its largest drone attack in Ukraine since the start of the war, per Reuters, and some weren't happy about Trump's latest announcement. Veteran and author Alexander Vindman wrote on X, "This is today's version of, quote, ill end of the war, day one. This statement is meaningless as Putin has zero interest in negotiating. It's way past embarrassing watching Trump get played by Putin."
Meanwhile, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote, "I have adamantly been opposed to the Ukraine-Russia war from the start and never voted to fund this war. I'm grateful that President Trump talked with Putin. There's now the prospect of peace and future trade with both countries." I, too, want an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. I think we all do. That is only going to come about through diplomacy. It's not going to come about, in my view, through Ukraine ever defeating Russia. That can't happen. Ukraine's own advisors don't think that. U.S. military advisors don't think that. The sanctions we've placed or that Europe placed on Russia have done very little. I was reading, this is a report from the New York Times, not some crazy contrarian, conspiratorial right-wing source, that the Russian military recruitment is up. They're not like losing their net recruitment is increasing despite huge numbers of casualties and injuries among their troops that they send into Ukraine. So it's not going to be a military defeat. It's going to be a slow conquest of Ukraine, or less slow by the day. And so it is definitely time for diplomacy. I love to hear Trump say he wants trade. I'm all about trade. Get Russia, Ukraine trading, get them financially intermingled in a way that will be less likely to result in warfare. That all sounds great to me.
Well, Trump and Putin sat on the phone for 2.5 hours yesterday. He came out with a stance that felt very optimistic. I think that it was a bit performative. He spoke to Putin in February this year also. This is the second call on record that we know that they had. And nothing was accomplished then. And a lot of people feel that nothing was accomplished now. He said they will immediately begin ceasefire talks. I don't know that to be true. It feels like Vladimir Putin in many ways is mocking us at this point. He didn't show up to the Istanbul talks when Zelensky pleaded with him to please show up so that they can have a conversation when Trump was on that side of the world. So I don't think that he's taking these talks very seriously. Just so because Trump says it, if we're going based on history from this year alone, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And so I think at this point, we have to figure out what the way forward is. And it's certainly, to me, not making Ukraine out to be the aggressor and Russia to be the victim. Because the way that Trump even positions his stances and the way that he's communicating this is on the side of a dictator. And I think by cowering and even making those concessions and leaving $3 billion that Congress has already approved for Ukraine in limbo so they can't use it to defend themselves while Russia is beefing up its troops, we are kind of just leaving them out to dry.
Okay,
we are leaving...
Tell me then, what's your plan? What are we supposed to do?
I think that he needs to first just start with the conversation of treating Ukraine like the victim. He needs to understand.
How does treating Ukraine like a victim get us one iota closer to peace?
Because he's berating this man so he's having private calls with Putin, but berating Zelensky publicly. That's totally inappropriate for understanding our diplomatic relationships. I mean, like I said about, which I don't know was the right thing to do, we dangled NATO over Ukraine. And so in part, we are involved in this. It was, and we're in this situation. But now that you're still the United States trying to protect Ukraine from an obvious aggressor, the way forward is not constantly trying to embarrass the smaller country and say, yes, Russia, keep illegally annexed Crimea, keep doing what you want.
We didn't tell them to keep doing it.
We're telling Zelensky to accept whatever Putin is putting on the table. And so that means the U.S. is cowering to a dictator. So it's like dictators, come on, do whatever you want. The U.S. is not going to do anything about it. And I think that is a ridiculous stance.
I think it's ridiculous to say we didn't do anything about it. We gave Ukraine $100 billion, and the country is still losing this fight because they can't possibly win it. We need to be realistic. The reality is Ukraine will be conquered by Russia, and with everyone dead in the country, the longer this goes on. So we need an immediate end to the conflict that will be not under favorable terms to Ukraine. This is not ideal.
It shouldn't be just favorable to Russia, though. A deal.
But they're the winning country of the conflict.
But in a deal, if Trump is bartering the agreement and putting himself in the middle of it like he did all over the campaign trail, and I know now he wants to step back and let them handle it, but he said in 24 hours of him It's been 5 months and 24 hours, by the way. But in 24 hours of him taking office, he would get this resolved. Obviously, not the case.
I think he's trying
Even
to
if
get
he
the
meant
most favorable deal possible for Ukraine, but that it's difficult because they don't have a good